this is Tomlin from TomlinHarmonicaLessons.com, and I thought that I could do something a little bit different with this week's harmonica lesson, and that is answer some of the questions that you've been leaving in my comment section, because there have been some really interesting questions, and I think some other people would benefit from some answers. So I'm just going to fire straight in with the first question I got, which was, Tomlin, I just started playing not long ago, and my problem is that my mouth hurts. I have problems keeping the strength up in my lips. It feels like my lip muscles are getting cramped. Is that normal? Well, yes, it is incredibly normal. Anytime you start any kind of new activity, whether it's playing a musical instrument or a sport, you're going to end up using muscles that you haven't really used before in a new way. And it's going to take time to build up the strength. And at the beginning, you are going to feel sore. One thing to be careful of is to make sure that you don't overdo it. So, traditionally we've heard play through the pain, and that's a really, really bad thing to do because you can do long-term damage to yourself. You can create all sorts of repetitive strain injuries, and they are a really real thing. And I've had students who've had to stop playing for extended periods of time because they were pushing too hard. So don't overdo it. And finally, another thing you need to try and incorporate into your practicing from an early stage is trying to relax as much as possible. So a lot of injuries and tiredness and fatigue comes from people playing too hard. And especially at the beginning, beginners hear a very loud harmonica player and they think that they're pulling really, really hard on the instrument to get the volume, and they're really not. You want to be playing nice and gently with a natural breath and relaxing. If I play really hard, it doesn't sound so good. It's more strained, the notes are bending out, and I can already feel that I'm really gripping. It's not good. So it's normal to have a little bit of fatigue and muscle cramp, but don't overdo it, okay? Right, next question is, I want to ask which harmonica is good for beginners. Special 20 standard tuning or Special 20 country tuning? Okay, so Special 20 country tuning is a very interesting harmonica, but it's not a very useful harmonica for general blues playing. And the reason is that it has one of the notes tuned to a what's called a major seventh. And that's great for playing melodies, but that note that's tuned up to a major seventh is normally a minor seventh, a flat seventh, which is an incredibly important part of blues harmonica. So if you want to learn blues harmonica, you should have a standard tuned Special 20. If you want to play some melodies, if you want to do something like Georgia on My Mind or Somewhere Over the Rainbow, then maybe getting a country tuned harmonica would be useful. But it's definitely one to get later on rather than getting it right at the beginning. Get a standard tuned harmonica to start with. Okay, right. Next question, this is one I get a lot, is if playing the riff in second position E on an A harp, why are we not playing straight from first position on an E harp? Am I missing something? I ask this because my main harmonica is chromatic. I tend to primarily play straight harp. So, why do we play in different positions? Why don't we just play in the key of the harmonica? And the main reason is that all of the juicy, bluesy, tasty notes aren't readily available in first position. So if I play a blues scale on my A harmonica in second position, so that is playing in the key of E, I can play it on an E harmonica rather than an A harmonica, but it's a little bit harder. So I had to do 3 overblows to get that blues scale. And the notes aren't laid out in such a neat way so that you can get nice runs like. Okay, so the reason that we play in a different position is just ease of hitting the notes that we want to get. So if you were playing in first position, you'd probably be primarily playing melodically rather than bluesily. Okay? Right. So, next question is another one that I get a lot, which is how many and in which key harmonicas should I have? So, I always recommend that people start with a C harmonica, and the reason for that is that it's kind of in the middle of the range in terms of the pitch, which makes it kind of okay to play everything, where you'll find that the lower key harmonicas are harder to bend at the lower end, the higher key harmonicas are harder to bend at the higher end. The C harmonica is in the Goldilocks zone, it's just right. So that's the one you want to start with. And then you want to either get an A harmonica or a D harmonica. So both of those are equally useful and equally important. So just get one, then get the other. After that, I would recommend getting a B flat harmonica or a G harmonica, and then whichever one you didn't get. So if you got a B flat, get a G. If you got a G, get a B flat. Those are very common. And then finally, once you've had those 5 keys for a while, get an F harmonica. And then you've got pretty much all the bases covered that you'd need for most situations. And I know loads of people are going to start writing comments underneath and saying, well, what if I want to play in this key? Okay, if you want to play in that key, get that harmonica. But these 6 keys will help you cover pretty much any situation that you're going to be in most commonly. Unless you're playing with, for example, a guitarist who likes to downtune their guitar a semitone, then you might need some different keys. Or if you're playing with a horn player, so horn players quite often like to play in flat keys, so you might need to get something like an A flat harmonica or a B natural harmonica or an E flat or a D flat. So bear that in mind. But the harmonicas that will suit most situations, C, A, D, B flat, G, and F. Okay? Right. So, next question is, the question is interesting, but I have some thoughts about what motivates the question. So the question is, I'm a pianist, and when I play Piano Man with a harmonica stand, am I playing it wrong if I'm using that? And the answer to that question is, no, of course not. If you want to play piano and harmonica at the same time, then you need to use a rack. And that means that you're going to throw out of the window some of the rules about playing harmonica. For example, I always talk about using 2 hands rather than just 1 hand. Well, if you're playing it in a rack, you're not using any hands. I also talk about trying to move the harmonica with your hands rather than moving it with your head. If you're playing with a rack, you're going to have to move with your head. So it's okay to break the rules if there's a good reason. It's also okay to break the rules if it's more comfortable for you. So quite often I get emails from people saying, "Hi Tomlin, I watched your video about mistakes that harmonica players make, and the one about playing with 2 hands really worries me. I can't use one of my hands. What should I do?" And the answer to that question is just use the one hand that you can. Do what you can do what feels comfortable. The rules are a guideline, and usually what I suggest to someone that I'm teaching from the beginning stages on the instrument. If you've been playing for decades and you're pretty good, or if you have a reason to not do something a certain way, do that. Be an individual and do what works for you. Okay? Right, so those are the questions that I thought would be interesting to answer today. Let me know if this kind of video is useful for you. If it is, I might do some more Q&A videos in the future. Just write a little comment, let me know what you think. And before you go away, give me a thumbs up by hitting the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, then subscribe to my channel because I put out a new harmonica lesson every single Wednesday. All right, take it easy and happy harping. Okay, one more thing before you go anywhere. If you want to have a little bit more hands-on guidance from me as a harmonica teacher, then I suggest you check out my online harmonica school. This will give you everything that you need in terms of educational material in a well thought out and methodical curriculum. But on top of that, you'll also get access to me and feedback from me. So you'll submit recordings for me to tell you what you're doing right, what you need to improve on, and what you need to practice next. And then finally, I also have a community where I do weekly live sessions where you can send in your questions and I will answer any questions that you have about anything harmonica related. So if you want to find out a little bit more about that, just click on the link in the description below about my online harmonica school. See you soon. Happy harping.